Hello. Ooh, we're switching it up this time. Welcome to What Did You Think episode
10.
10.
This is the 10th episode.
Yeah, you know what they say, make the 10 episodes. You made it all the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If we were a premium cable television show, back when that was still a thing, we would have 3 episodes left until the end of the season.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're not, so we have a lot more to go. So Ben, a
Well,
lot has happened since the last episode.
yeah, a
Not
few things.
not limited to just the movie.
Right.
Yeah. So what's going on with you, Ben?
Nothing. No,
Cool.
no. Um, my throat is hurting. So I just want to let you know I didn't take the paper off because of brands. This is Propel if they do want to sponsor us. No, I know back in our Christmas episode we mentioned Gatorade being the best. This is actually the best. I'm a big fan of this. This is Propel.
This has always been my theory when it comes to which energy drink is the best. Whichever one is willing and able to pay us the most money, we will say you're the best.
Right. But
We
as
have
of right
no
now,
integrity.
you guys are all tied.
Right. We have no integrity. I will change my opinions on the drop of a hat. Any movie studios, if you want me to pad your good reviews, just send me out to a world premiere. That's all you need to do.
Dude, honestly, that's my bucket list. I'm being for real. Like just to go to a world premiere. It could be of something like completely awful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it'd be fun. Either way, what's going on with me? Because that's what everyone's dying to know.
Right.
I don't know, guys. I mean, there's a lot going on. I have a new hat here.
Is this the first time we've seen the hat?
Yeah, of course it is. Because there may have may not been an error that happened beforehand.
Right. Probably not.
Yeah. Either way, it's a cool hat and it's not available. Anyways, I have a sore developing on my tongue, so we're gonna crank out as many episodes as we can before I go into my hibernation once again.
Yep.
But a
But
few things. Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
one
go
of
right
those things.
ahead.
Well,
I'm
as you can
stealing
see, no, you know what? I came to you with a question and you go to answer that question. I talk right over you. I apologize, but I'm going to keep doing it. As you see right here, we have a poster to one of the best games of all time, The Last of Us.
And
And
as you
recently,
see right here is an Xbox controller, which is rivals with the console that the game is from.
yeah. And recently HBO has released the first 2 episodes of the Last of Us television show every Sunday at 9, or whatever time zone.
9 a.m. Eastern time.
AM.
So 9 p.m.
Yeah.
ET.
He has seen both episodes. I've only seen the first one. We're not going to do a weekly update type of thing, but initial opinions. What are your thoughts? Don't go too in depth because we do need to save some content for our future episode on the show.
So far, 2 big thumbs up for me. I've only got 2 to give. If I could give more, I would. Maybe some toes are up too, but
that's for the Patreon.
Yeah. That's for our like OnlyFans segment there. So check that out. No, we had an incredibly long but incredible first episode. And if you were worried, like I was, and probably many others, of a not only a video game adaptation, but a video game adaptation of one of your favorite video games ever, has to be like something truly terrifying. So the thought of it being made was, yes, scary, but then slowly as some news started coming out with like Pedro Pascal, getting involved, I started getting more and more excited instead of nervous. And then we have HBO picking it up. We've got Chernobyl creators working on it, and then even Druckmann, Neil Druckmann,
Mm-hmm.
that's his name. He even had his directorial debut for the second episode and directing it, and it is
At least directing a like not video game thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Something like I don't want to say cinematic because video games can be cinematic, but
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
a show or a movie.
Right. And I will say I was hopeful, but I was very worried
Hmm.
because especially after they butchered my boy Uncharted, I didn't know what to expect. And then the casting came out. Pedro, I was all for. Um, I had my reservations about the actress they chose for Ellie, but having only seen the first episode, they really nailed it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's not that I had anyone else in mind. It's just that a character like Ellie from the first game, I'm gonna be so protective of, and like you have to get this right or don't do it at all, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
whoever they put in that role, I was gonna have the same reaction to. Like, I don't know,
of
like
course.
they could have like 3D printed an actual model of Ellie from the first game and then digitally implanted Ashley Johnson's voice into it and then gave her the memories of the character, and I would have been like, I don't know.
Well, Bella Ramsey's a very talented actress, and there's few actresses I could think of that I feel like would be able to pull off the role. I think one is Sadie Sink. I know her name was getting thrown around a lot, but it's because of the red hair, honestly.
Yeah.
That's why people. Bella Ramsey, I really am a big fan of her in Game of Thrones, so I was not worried on her acting ability. And it's Ellie is such a difficult character to pull off, especially with like her age and everything. You've got to find someone young, but obviously not like too young to where like they can actually, because Ellie is like she's like 50% of like the leads. You know what I mean? She is one of the two leads. And Bella Ramsey is incredible at it. I know Cameron mentioned, I'm going to take the words out of his mouth. All worries he had involving her, I'm assuming were gone
Yeah.
when we were talking about it. And my worries of them changing a lot were also gone. They are not afraid to make their changes, but their changes are not bad and they're not drastically different, changing the overarching story.
Every
Um,
change that that the show is made from the game has an actual purpose. It's not just changing it for the sake of changing it.
right.
And whether that purpose is for it to work better as a television show or if that changes to keep the people who've already played and memorized the game guessing, um, they all seem warranted.
This actually, I'm gonna compare this to Cowboy Bebop in a sense, the live action version on Netflix. So, uh, of course, like I said, I was nervous when they announced Cowboy Bebop, um, because my favorite anime being converted, anime to live adaptations
Usually works.
have
So I
never
don't know why
worked.
you were worried. Yeah.
Have they ever worked? I do not know. Dragon Ball was awful. Even
Yeah.
like non-anime shows like The Last Airbender were still terrible. So I don't know, but
Space Jam
and
was pretty good. The first one at least.
my favorite anime,
Yeah.
the Looney Tunes. uh, but with this, they Cowboy Bebop, the live action version, stayed practically beat for beat what the anime did, which I enjoyed. I was having a blast because, and that's how I wanted Last of Us to be. I wanted this to be the same exact story that I can show my parents and people that aren't going to play the games, so that way they can experience the same thing I experienced.
Hmm.
And Cowboy Bebop was a lot of fun until the last few episodes where they started not only just making like slight changes, but making dumb changes to where it like not only does it change the story, but it changes a lot of like what the whole anime was going for in the first place. It's like, okay, now you're trying to make, I don't know. It's like, how do you be creative but also keep the source material? Well, if you're asking that question, watch The Last of Us. The Last of Us is still beat for beat what I mean the game is, I would say. But like Cameron said, the changes that they're making have something like are good for the plot, and they're just good changes in general. Like they're adding extra stuff that is just nice and good for the viewership, and
Right.
they continue doing a lot of the stuff with episode 2, and I'm assuming and hopeful for the rest of the show. But I think we've stayed too much on this, so I'm sorry, but
True.
you can close it out if you wanted to for that.
I will close it out by doing two things. One, reminding people that we will make a full episode on this someday. So if you were about to be like, but wait, what did you think about this? Don't worry, it's coming. And two, another example that came to our mind of a live action anime adaptation done right is Shrek the Musical. Anyway, moving on.
Dude, okay, so did Isaac tell you that we saw Shrek the Musical live?
Yes, and I mean, I know we weren't friends at the time, but I wish you invited me still. I don't.
Right, I should have known. It's so good. It's on
Yeah,
Netflix, isn't it?
yeah. That's how
Uh,
I've seen it
really?
a few times.
Man, it's really good. It's
Whenever,
I remember
whenever there
watching
would
this
be
like sorry, go ahead.
no, actually, you were the one talking, bro.
I remember watching this like big guy painted in green, just like singing his heart out and
Mhm.
sweating, like drops of sweat, like melting some of the makeup. And I'm like,
That's actually
man,
how they make
that's
the Nickelodeon slime. They just have him get in the Shrek costume and sweat it off.
just like jog in place.
Yeah. Um, I remember the bulk of the times I've watched it, because I've watched it more than a few times, is whenever I go on long road trips, whether it be for like a school thing or just a family trip, I will have it downloaded on Netflix, and it will be one of like not enough things that I'll download. I'll always download way less things than I will have time for, and so I'll have to watch it a couple times.
What?
So,
I've always for like road trips and stuff like that, I've always downloaded way like I I over download and then I don't watch any of it. Like I
yeah.
so when we were going to Florida in August, last August, I downloaded it's like it was like a two less than it was like an hour 40-minute flight. I downloaded Seven, David Fincher Seven, which is 2.5 hours. I watched 20 minutes of it and just like I was like, there's no point because I'm not gonna be able to finish it on the plane. So I didn't know.
Right.
And I
You
was
remember?
well, another reason well, and then another movie I downloaded was White House Down. And I figured like while I'm watching this, I didn't want like the person right next to me to like watch me watch a movie about this White House getting taken down while we're like on
On
an
a plane?
airplane. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna turn it off for right now because
Yeah,
I choose bad airplane movies. That's my issue.
right. Like, I don't know. I feel like you would watch like a some kind of 9/11 documentary on an airplane or something and forget to
Uh,
plug in your headphones.
I
Like,
know we would. My friend Riley, we were going to DC. Yeah, ooh, or Chattanooga. I think it was DC, Washington DC, for a high school trip, and they had a big rule on like what you can watch.
mhm.
Like our school did. Um, and we, Riley and I thinking we can get away with everything. We decided to download so we were 2 episodes into season 2 of Daredevil, and so we downloaded the rest of season 2, and then we downloaded all of season 3. So, and we didn't watch The Defenders, so we didn't know like it had any like we knew it had correlation, but I wasn't expecting for season very minor spoilers for
Bro,
Daredevil.
can I
Um,
just sidebar real quick? That is the most frustrating part of recommending Daredevil to people, is that you have to
yeah.
be like, dude, it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's great. I love how it adds to the MCU, but it also works on its own. But like, and then, but yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, you can continue.
No, but so we watch all of season 2. We're seeing Frank Castle just murder people, like just wreck house, and then we're watching, like this whole fun thing, and then we get to start season 3. It's like I don't know, we're probably have like 3 hours left of our ride, and we're like the way season 2 ends and how season 3 begins are like completely like opposite
Yeah,
sides.
because there's 8 hours of stuff in the middle.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
like it opens up with like Daredevil in the bed just like dying or whatever. And we're like, oh, so we were waiting for this whole thing to like be resolved throughout the season. So we were thinking
Yeah.
it was gonna be like a flashback sequence of like what
Hmm.
happened. But in reality, they kept on mentioning the building falling on top of them, and that was it. And then Riley and I are turning to each other and we're like, this is just lazy writing. That's like, what is this? And then we look up, we're like, oh, it has something to do with the Defenders.
Dude.
So
I was actually going to mention. I remember when I brought up the Shrek thing. I remember seeing you and Riley watching Daredevil. I hadn't seen it yet. I just remember I was sitting behind you guys. I looked up and I saw you guys watching Daredevil, and I was like, "Huh." And then I got my phone out and I watched Shrek the Musical
wait, were you
again.
actually
I
behind
was
us?
there, yeah. Not that like directly behind you, but I was on that trip.
I know you're on the trip. Wait,
Yeah.
hold up. So for anyone that
Because
doesn't
wasn't that
know,
the same trip that someone got in trouble for watching Hotel Transylvania?
yeah.
And then I was like, bro, these guys watching Daredevil.
So like this is so for anyone that doesn't know us, we didn't become friends till like I want to say
COVID.
my senior year.
Yeah. Or like right before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, like I wasted my whole high school without realizing who Cameron is.
Yeah.
And now that I realized him, I'm like, man, I wish I had those years back, but I didn't know
We
who he
kind of
was.
hung out. I more hung out with Joel, but on your last high school trip, I was like chilling with the dogs. Uh not the toes. Like I was with around your friend group a little bit more.
Okay.
But I still
Well,
wouldn't. Yeah.
one of my biggest regrets is not hanging out with you because
Hmm.
I mean, we got so much in common, Cameron.
I was so introverted back then, and I also like the reason I didn't hang out with you earlier, which I don't know if I've ever told you this, was because on the DC trip, Samuel was hanging out with you a lot, and you guys were doing pranks in public, and that's like one of my biggest like I can't stand people who do pranks in public because it's like people are just trying to live their lives, and so that plus introversion was like, oh, I can't speak to this
So
person.
did you
Like,
not like me? Like was I because
I
I'm
mean,
like
I
was I
never
annoying? Was I
I
annoying?
very rarely get to the point where I don't like somebody. You have to be pretty annoying. I was just like, that's not the kind of person I'm gonna hang out with. But
Right. So because like Samuel and I we were so stupid. We had a Bluetooth speaker that I brought and we put it in his hoodie and we're just playing fart noises as he's walking through the mall, like holding his stomach. He has like Chinese food in his hand. And mall cop stops him. He's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, which way is the bathroom?" And then it's like it's like this wet fart. It's like super loud. And the guy's like, "Oh, it's that go, go, go." And
like that's harmless. But to me, I just thought disturbing people was the biggest crime, and so I wouldn't do it ever.
I
And I
I
couldn't
think
stand
the
other
way
people doing
it's a good prank is if it's completely diminishing you. If you are the laughing stock and
it.
not
And
the
if you're
person.
not making like someone's day harder,
That's what
like
I'm saying.
if you
Yeah.
go into a store and you just pour out a milk jug, you're like,
I hate that stuff.
yeah,
No, I hate
yeah,
that stuff. But I think if you're being the butt of the joke, being like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
well, I'm used to being the butt of the joke, and I'm doing
uh-huh.
the side thing again too, which I'm
That's
sorry.
fine. That's fine.
But yeah, just being the butt of the joke, being stupid, playing your fart noises, even though that's funny to like two people, it's
Hmm.
still funny. But yeah, don't yeah.
Yeah,
So I don't
but
know.
yeah.
I seem to be missing the point here.
What do you mean?
Let me say it again. I seem to be missing the point on what we're doing here. I, the movie this week. I seem to be missing the. So we saw
Today we
missing.
saw missing.
Cameron, we saw missing.
Yeah.
Um, this is the official, unofficial sequel to
I mean,
Searching.
it's in the same universe. In
Definitely,
fact, even though it's not connected at all, they spoil the ending to Searching in the first frames of
they
Missing.
do. They do. Um, but yeah, Searching is directed by Nicholas D. Johnson and Will Merrick, and
Correct.
it's starring Cameron.
Storm Reid, Joaquim de Almeida, also, I don't pronounce words ever. Kim Leung, Emmy Landecker, Daniel Henney, and Nia Long.
Yeah, great job. Great
Thank
job.
you. Thank
First
you.
take.
First try. Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
Ben, what'd you
Well,
think?
Cameron. So, a while ago I mentioned to you my guilty pleasure movies I have a lot of them, but one version of them is these like found footage computer screen movies.
Yeah.
And the only ones I've seen have been like unfriended like dark web and stuff like that. Okay, because they're terrible but so funny and
And
just
then
like fun to watch.
and
And
I was
then
able to open your eyes
you were like,
to
well, you
how
know, an
it doesn't
actual
have to
good
be a
one.
guilty pleasure.
Yeah, you're like
It
an
can
actual
be
good
a
one
regular
is
pleasure.
uh
Searching. Oh,
searching.
I'm searching for what the movie was called.
Yeah.
Uh,
You seem to be missing them. First of all, my joke was better. Just
no,
saying.
yeah,
It stars the Cowboy Bebop live action guy. So
yeah.
full circle here, really.
That's how
Um,
we tie everything together. We
yeah.
plan that.
But no, after watching Searching, I was like, oh, this is incredible. This is like very fun storytelling done in a very creative way. And it's not, but the reason the Unfriended is so dumb, spoilers for Unfriended, I guess,
No, I'm
is
just kidding.
that like everyone is in like a Skype call, okay? Um, but somehow a murderer like hacks their Skype call and is able to also hack the electronics in their house. For instance, like someone's like using a blender,
I forget the plot, but what it wasn't a ghost.
or it was.
I thought it was a ghost.
But the thing is, the fact that like the ghost was hacking their like appliances and killing them with their appliances is very stupid. Uh,
I mean, stick your hand in a blender. What do you
blah.
expect?
So yeah, it's like stupid stuff like that makes zero sense of the movie, but it's super funny and dumb. But with seeing Searching, I was like, oh, this is really good. Like this is not a ghost hacking your electronics. This is an actual like just mystery
Mm-hmm.
that we are there literally every step of the way. Um it's and we just see this like very frustrated and emotional dad trying to find his daughter through his computer screen. And if there's a reason these movies aren't too long, is because you can lose your interest very quick with this, because there's not a lot of ways that you can keep attention on this computer screen when we're doing something serious like a mystery. But these two movies I include missing in this do find a way to keep you really engaged and keep
Yeah.
you guessing and having fun. One thing I really enjoyed with Searching is that they had like several red herrings here and there about different things. And even with missing, they had several red herrings. And I would say, as far as like my enjoyability goes, I had a lot of fun with both of these. I think I liked Searching a lot more than
Yeah.
this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
We can get into that a little bit more
yeah,
later.
that's not really necessarily taking anything away from Missing. It's just Searching is so good and Missing is not that good.
There's an interesting balancing act you have to do with this kind of movie
Mhm.
where you have to do both. You have to keep it realistic and like what would a person in this scenario do on their computer? And
Yeah,
two, you have to keep it varied enough to not lose interest, because if it was 100% realistic, they would have three Google tabs and maybe a sticky note, and then that would be the entire movie. But if you can make it to where you're going through all these different websites and apps and like all these different things and different like tabs and window sizes and stuff like that, and make it look like a way that someone would actually do it, instead of like, I'm gonna use Bing for this search. Okay, now maybe I should go to Yahoo. Like, variety for the sake of variety takes away from the realism, and
right.
ultra realism takes away from the variety. So to balance that is very difficult. Which I think both these movies do very well, keeping it varied but realistic.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Well, I mean, we did it, Karen.
Yeah. I think this is like the fourth episode in a row we've made the "we're ending the episode early" joke.
It is.
Um,
We need to stop doing that.
yeah.
We told you the 2023 season is gonna be full of tons of bits, guys.
Right.
Uh, no, I I still really like this movie, and with its issues, uh, I don't. I'll save some of my issues for spoilers, but there are several things where I felt like they were like, no pun intended, but a copy and paste from from Searching.
I will
Um,
say, if searching didn't exist, I would like this movie a lot more.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I still really like this. It's just like I said, it feels like a copy and paste from Searching for a few things. Um, not with someone missing, but with like certain like relationships and just kind of events that happen in the movie and how they turn out. Um, but this movie still does a great job of keeping me guessing. I had no clue what was going to happen. I
A
was
quick
guessing.
non-spoiler kind of synopsis of what happens is a girl's mother and her boyfriend being the mother's boyfriend, go on a trip uh, out of the country, and then she never comes home. Neither of them come home, and so through the view of the laptop, this girl has to try to track down her missing mother. So yeah, you can go back to I just wanted to give those people who might not have seen it a little idea of what happened.
No, you're good. I I'll go to performances. I think everyone does solid in this. Um, I think Storm Reid uh does a great job. I honestly do. I've seen some mixed opinions on some reviews. I think she's fine. She's gonna be in The Last of Us, so
I'm
she has
so
to be good.
excited to see how they do the Left Behind DLC in that
Yeah,
show,
me too.
which most of this episode has been a Last of Us review, so we might not want to dwell on that for too long.
It really has. And I'll just go ahead and continue.
Yeah,
Um, there's a character in this movie called Javi. And he is like
by far the best part of the movie.
he is so good in this movie. It's something so like he is the comfort of the movie. It's like through all the stressful and like terrible things that are happening in the movie, you get like the scene of Javi, and you're like, oh man, and then your heart just starts warming up because he's on the screen and he's talking,
Right.
and you're like, man, this guy is incredible. So as far as like that character goes, he was written so well, and you
Yeah.
just like, I also our theater was so interesting. So there are like several scenes I would say because I have a segue going into this, so let me say this first. The music in this movie is so repetitive, and like the amount of times of just like the music swelling and then stopping whenever like she realizes something happens way too many times than need be. But one of the just like the very quiet scenes. So we went to see this movie with my brother Isaac, Cameron, his brother, and my wife, and our friend Riley. We're all sitting together, as you do in a theater, and I'm sitting next to Isaac, and it's a really quiet scene. It's going on for like 45 seconds. I turn to Isaac. I make a joke. I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying to fart right now." And then Isaac's like, "I'm forcing one right now." I Isaac audibly farts in the theater, and oh, it's okay. So there's like Isaac does this a lot in the movies. He did this during Avatar. He did this like he does this a lot, and it gets me to crack up because it's the fact that I cannot audibly laugh at it because I'm in a
Yeah.
theater makes it so much harder to
And
like.
what's great this time is as if it wasn't a small, like a quiet scene in the loud part, people already are kind of giggling. And
Yes.
then Riley, he goes very loud, sorry. And so for the next like 2 minutes, everyone in the theater is trying so hard to hold back their laughs,
There's
except for
this
the people
lady
behind
behind
us
us.
who's just like,
She is losing it. She is cracking up at Isaac's fart. And
she's laughing way longer than anyone else.
like I'm laughing too. It took her a while to recover. And
Yeah.
like me and Sarah, we looked to each other, we're like, man, that's his future wife right there. It's
Yeah.
like they're gonna be walking out of the theater, and he's gonna like hold the door for her, and she's gonna be like, were you the one who farted? He's like, were you the one who laughed? That kid's
It's a
how I met your
Hallmark
mother.
original movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was so good. Um, and I got mortified when I stood up at the end of the movie and the lights were on and I realized how many people were in the theater. And I was like, oh, I just walked out so fast. I did not want to be like affiliated with the fart.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Oh, but truly just one of the best theater experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking what I thought. So basically that sounded a lot more sarcastic than I meant.
What did you
But
think?
what did I thought? I am a lot more forgiving of this movie, despite the fact that I think technically on Letterboxd, if you want exact numbers, go there. I gave it a higher rating than you did. But everything in this movie is done exponentially better by searching, almost to the point where I don't really know why this movie exists. It doesn't. Okay, so when you get a movie so innovative and so special, like Searching, and you follow up on that, you can't just do it again, because part of what makes Searching good is how unique it is. And if you take something that's good because it's unique and then you make it the same as something else, it's unsurprisingly going to be less good, which is why I said if Searching didn't exist, I would like this movie a lot more, even
Mm,
though on a performance level, no one's necessarily bad. Well, almost no one's necessarily bad. And uh, all that stuff, but it's still worse than Searching. I think the performances in Searching are better. The mystery in Searching is better. The It's just a lesser version of the movie that came before it. And if you hadn't seen Searching, you could probably enjoy this a lot more. And I'm not saying it, okay, I'm sounding way too negative. It's a good movie. It really is.
mhm.
But it's just it lost that unique appeal that the first one had. And especially like it's one thing, I'm not saying it's necessarily better to copy somebody else, but if a different studio like did their take on this, that'd be different. But it's the same people, same studio.
Yeah.
It's
And
literally they copied their own work.
that's my biggest issue with it. That's why it's like I don't want to give it more credit than it does deserve because they've already done it before. It's like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
It's like how people say episode 7 and episode 4 of Star Wars are very similar, but different companies, different writers, a long gap. This is like if episode 5 was episode 4, but again.
Yeah. And you said it perfectly. And why even waste your time? Why would I if I knew what I knew now, not necessarily like having already seen the movie, but like if someone told me that like, oh, it's basically Searching just 2.0, I probably wouldn't be rushing to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um and I think one of the biggest holdbacks for me is that it lacks on its originality when it comes to what it's capable of, what its predecessor is capable of. They could have just shot themselves in the foot with having Searching be their first movie, and it could just all be downhill from there. But I mean, they had several years to work on, and I get it being animated, with the whole thing, and that does take time,
Which
and
that's
it
still great
still
if you
looks
keep in
great,
mind that
and
none of this
still,
is like screen recorded. This is all hand animated. That's awesome.
yeah. But the story is like literally just change a few answers so they didn't know I copied off of you. Like that's
Right.
kind of what it is.
Right. It
But
it's weird. It definitely feels like they kind of went like, all right, let's do another one. Let's keep the basics, of the last one. Let's keep the basics. And then they forgot to adapt or shift those basics around.
I guess. But yeah, I mean, I still had a good time with it. It's pretty average if I'm going to be honest, comparing it to
Yeah.
Searching. But I mean, and like you said perfectly, dude. If it was from another studio, I would probably like this more. But yeah, I mean, I still had fun with it. Hobby's the goat.
Hmm.
I mean, you have anything else you want to say before we kind of just jump into the spoilers, or
Uh, I mean, not really. No.
okay?
I think I perfectly encapsulated any opinion you could have.
Absolutely. All right,
Yeah.
let's cannonball into the spoilers. Oh,
Yo, that was an epic cannonball.
thank you, thank
I got
you.
splashed all the way over here.
You're in the splash zone.
The spoiler zone. Okay.
Spoiler zone. You're right.
So let's start it up with a spoiler. What?
The
The dad
dad,
is alive?
the dad is not alive, or the dad is alive, and he
Whoa.
is
The bad
the
guy.
big bad guy. He's the big
He's
bad
the
guy.
Billie Eilish of the movie.
He's
And
the bad guy.
now we were a little dishonest, at least I was, when I said the only thing wrong with this is that it's just a worse version of Searching. The biggest thing wrong with this is the entire ending.
Absolutely. Yep.
Um,
I think the whole twist in general is really bad.
the twist is bad, and then the twist that they do on the twist is bad, and it's frustrating because these could be good, and it was going good, and
I was on board even with all of the copy and paste stuff. I was on board until the big twist, which is that the dad is still alive and there's like the ring notification for her door. When that happened, I was like, that is I audibly laughed. I was like, that is so dumb. That is actually bad. Like terrible.
we also, I'm sorry to anyone who was expecting our normal spoiler tangent thing. I just completely forgot to do that.
Yeah.
But we're too far deep now. We can't go back. Um sorry. Anyway, yeah, that is, first of all, he's probably the worst actor in the movie.
He's not good.
Not that there's a lot of people in the movie, but I don't know. He's just not doing the movie any favors. um, so they were flirting with the idea that what if the person that's missing was the bad guy all along? And that would have been more interesting than what they went with, I think.
Yeah.
But instead,
Even Kevin being the bad guy is fine with me still. Because
yeah,
like
it
there
would
was
have been a bit
still
more predictable.
but there's still mystery with this character. Like the only reason, so there's so many reasons actually why I dislike this. One, with some of these mysteries, I like being able to like having the ability to guess who it is and to find out who it is. Now, I get some movies have like just solid twists that work. Like there's no way that I would have guessed in Glass Onion, spoilers for Glass Onion, that the girl had a twin. You know, but there's still a lot of information there to show up. Like in hindsight, I can look back and be like, okay, that makes sense. With this, makes zero sense at all. Right? He literally just
I
shows
want to
up.
kind of give with Searching and with this. I'm sure there's a lot more details that there are when you go back and watch it, like on the sides and stuff. And so it could be rewatching this. It might be like, it was there the whole time, but it's like the first viewing, it feels way too out of left field.
No, it does. And like you said, he's not the greatest actor in the movie. He's fine. It's
Yeah, it also falls into that frustrating thing that movies do, where there are these characters in situations where there's an obvious direction to go. Like throughout the whole movie, she's really smart until she gets to the end where she finds her mom and she has to get her out of the situation that she's in. It goes from urgency and, oh, we gotta get this done right now, to, oh, I found her, let's hug for 30 minutes. Oh, I knocked out the guy with the gun, let's run away and close the gun in there with him.
Or
Oh,
he's going away to dig a hole.
he's
Let's
gonna
just
dig their
stay
graves
here.
before he kills them. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And
It
dude,
it
it's
it
just so
just,
annoying.
yeah, it takes a nosedive in quality.
Not only does it take a nosedive, it's just honestly rude to the audience. It's like we invest like this time into their movie, we're playing along with their story. We're, falling for their loops and all that. We're following the same rabbit trail that this girl is. And then for you to be like, oh, it does not matter if you were
It's
paying attention at all to this movie, like literally the last 20 minutes. Oh, her dad's here. He's not dead. And he's a really terrible person. He's the
I
bad
mean,
guy.
just off the top of my head, the only real hint that you could have is the very first scene in the movie where the mom is cutting up clips of uh childhood
Right.
memory videos and stuff. But I don't know, it doesn't feel like there's enough there because the dad doesn't really get brought up.
At
Like
all.
it gets brought up every now and then where the daughter's like, I wish my dad wasn't dead, but like anyone with a dead dad would probably think that,
Right.
right?
Well, yeah.
Like, well, not okay, you know what I mean. Like that
Sure.
doesn't it's not like a mystery like putting the dad in the spotlight of this could be a potential person.
Right. Because with like their unwritten rules that they did, that like the movie did, it already put in our mind that okay, this character is dead. All right, this
Mhm.
character has nothing to do with it anymore. All right. And it's rules to a board game. You know what I mean? When it's like playing a big game of Guess Who, and we've already put this person down because we know it can't be them. But it's cheating, first
Yeah.
of all.
Another twist that they had was a character close to the main character is involved in the mystery in a way that we didn't expect. It's not the exact same way, but it is still a very similar, like it's even
Searching.
like a redhead doing it like in both movies.
Hmm.
Like uh it's just everything from this movie is either taken directly from searching or taken in a lesser than way to from searching.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what
Um
my brain did there to a lesser than way to be there from searching, but
I was there for the ride though, man. That was
yeah.
great. No, and yeah, dude, it was not good. It, it had everything to end solid. I mean, but also you have to like I have to keep in mind because I completely forgot about that. Like, there's the character that's close to the daughter that you mentioned. What is her name? I don't know her name. Heather.
I don't remember. Yeah, sure.
But like she's like some lawyer. Either way, like at least with searching, like we are more familiar with um like the other characters that do this that are twisted to have like
Well,
this.
that's part of the larger twist that the mom is under witness protection, which I actually liked that twist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing there's a lot more hints there than I saw because
Mm,
that's something you can really pepper hints about.
sure.
The dad is the main problem for me.
Yeah.
And I know we already talked about him, but I feel like when it comes to the lawyer, my problem isn't necessarily that she has another thing, but just that like, well, I mean that is the problem that she is like it's just from searching. Like everything is from searching.
Yeah, it is.
And
Oh,
this is an example. Okay, so both of these movies, Searching and Missing, can both be. Oh my word, they're like the same time. No, I'm just kidding. They they can be looked at as searching. This is how you do this kind of movie interesting because this kind of movie, similar to found footage, is can be its own genre if expanded upon, but it also could probably just like found footage be used for a lot of lazy stuff, right? So with searching, this is like okay, we've laid the groundworks. Searching is kind of the Blair Witch of this thing. You could say Unfriended is, but people tend to like Blair Witch. People tend to not like Unfriended. So let's say that Searching is the Blair Witch of this genre. Missing is is kind of a what not to do thing in terms of like if you put it on a spectrum, it's not as bad as Unfriended, but it's also it shows the importance of finding your own way to use this format that
right.
isn't just searching again.
Yeah.
And I know that I've made the same point in about 15 different ways, and repeating myself is kind of what I'm accusing this movie of doing. But I don't really have anything else wrong with it other than the fact that it's less than to the of the from
Right.
to the side of searching.
And I will say a few things I do like about it. I liked the twist with the mom not actually ever leaving
Yeah,
California.
I like
That to
that.
me was
That
really
was cool.
like this movie has like some like really like good ideas and really good twists that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that is sick. I love that. There was the scene with Kevin and when he gets shot and he gets killed. Like another great scene. I'm like, that's stuff that gets me on the edge of my seat. And then we've got like the dad, and then I go back and
You
like
two wait here. I'm gonna go dig a hole.
I'm gonna go dig one hole.
Yeah.
Were you talking in your Apple Watch?
Were you on the phone with someone? No. Okay.
Oh man. And but like, so there's another twist with the movie that, so we can kind of explain this a bit more. The dad basically got arrested for abusing, he's just a terrible person. He's just an abuser. And so he goes to jail and he ends up meeting this guy named Kevin, who ends up being this mom's new boyfriend.
I'm pretty sure it's Ken.
Kevin? Ken?
Ken. I don't know. One of us is wrong. Yeah.
Uh,
Let the people decide.
Yeah. Either way, and the whole premise is that Kevin is going to take June's mom to, like, what country was it? Portugal?
Somewhere.
I don't know. Somewhere.
Not cross country, international vacation.
Yeah, an international vacation where it's like hinted that he's going to propose to her. And throughout this whole trip, he's sending her pictures of him and her mom, like out, getting mimosas or on the plane, blah blah blah. And through, several events after she goes missing, it's a live video or live photo, which like, I don't know. I think I'm fine with it. I was not like upset. I know Isaac was a bit upset at the fact that the guy
Eli thought it was weird too. I know too many people who accidentally send live
I
photos.
send live photos all the time, and I simply because I just don't know how to turn them off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like do not have an issue with that. And the whole twist is that it's actually this girl that, like, is just is also black. It doesn't even look like
an
her.
actress.
Yeah, it's just an actress he paid for, or she's a bartender and actress. You're right. And like that whole twist was so well done, and that was like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen now. And then they just ruined it completely. It's like, yeah, it has some solid moments, but I don't know. That's why I have it as like that average score, because there's so much good and then there's so much bad that they really do just weigh itself out. And then the fact that it's Searching 2.0, it's like, oh, well, yeah.
The good stuff is still kind of watered down.
Exactly. I would say the only good original thing was the mom twist.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think I've said
that's really all there is to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot
anything.
Let me go see if Unfriended Dark Web. I'm sure there's stuff. I'm sure there's stuff that there's a lot. I'm sure there's a lot to like in this, and I'm sure that there are going to be tons of people who fall in love with it.
I'll keep searching.
Unfriended, the first one. I'm sure there are going to be people who can enjoy this a lot more than we do.
5% of the whale.
Mm.
Okay, we're done here. That was terrible.
Long story short, it was good, but it kind of exists in the shadow of the previous installment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten so used to living there, it's kind of taken on a similar identity that kind of brings it down a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why we're giving it 14 stars out of 900. I don't know. We don't do numbers on a podcast.
Such a low score. I give it a 22 out of 1,400.
Wow, that you must have really enjoyed it. I have a question, Ben. Where can people find this podcast if they want to find different
if they're listening to it, they've already done it. But if you tell other people about it.
Well, yeah, there's different ways to listen to it, right?
Tell them to go to either youtube.com, some slashes,
some letters, some numbers.
What did you think? Yeah. And also we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So tell everyone about it. Yeah, they deserve to hear it. Give them a treat.
Give your friends the gift of a podcast.
January has honestly been pretty solid.
This has, yeah, as much as we've talked down about both Megan and
Right.
and Missing,
There's been worse.
there's
There's
been
been
good
worse
stuff.
January movies where I would have not wanted to make a video about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I don't know. Obviously, this is going to be an uphill battle for me to try to convince Ben to let's do it. I've heard that plane is supposed to be way better than it looks.
No way.
From
Dude,
Chris Stuckman himself. Your dad, Chris Stuckman, your father is telling you this.
No.
Also, I know I meant to talk about this a bit more. I guess we'll save it for another episode. I saw Skinamarink. As much as a polarizing movie that is, I really enjoyed it. So January is looking to be one of the best Januaries ever. If there was such a thing as a January Oscars, this would probably be one of the hottest competitions.
Yeah. No, that's interesting.
Wait,
I mean, and we still have
you
80
go
for
ahead,
Brady
but
coming out pretty soon. That's in February
that's in
though.
February. Yeah. Speaking of the Oscars, Ben,
yeah.
we have Oscars plans, right? Tomorrow.
We do
Today.
Today.
Of,
Oh yeah, the nominations are. We're recording
the
this
nominations are out.
Yeah,
we're recording this at 8:29, so we didn't get to see them. But
yeah.
But we're gonna be
by the time this finishes, it's 8:29 a.m. So that way, like we don't know who's nominated yet.
See, it's not even time yet. So tomorrow is a random day, but Thursday or Friday we will have an Oscar nominations reactions video, which will entail our wacky reactions to what is going on. We might have some goofs, some gaffes. Some people will cry, some people will pass out. It's just gonna be me and Ben though. And then we are also going to predict what wins. And then that's that.
Yeah.
But first double upload week of the ever. And now that we're saying it in the podcast, we have to do it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. That's crazy. Wild to me. Yeah. All right.
And so that's how I say in the biz, that's a wrap, folks.
That is our, you know what? I got it. I got a good way to end it. Catchphrase.